Welcome to our YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Ashwati. Students, in this lecture, I'm going to discuss about Aristotle. Aristotle, who is a very important political thinker from that of antiquity period, or from we can say that ancient Greece. Okay, one of the most eminent, or we can say that an important political thinker. He was the disciple of Plato. As you know that Plato was a disciple of Socrates. Aristotle actually lived a great life. He belonged to a very good family. He was not essentially from Greece, or like let's say that he was not from Athens. He belonged to Macedonia, and from there he came to study under Plato. Okay. Now we will understand something about Aristotle's life. So, Aristotle was Plato's faithful student and remained at the academy, which was the institution created by Plato, okay, until Plato's death in 347 BC. So, Aristotle was one of the most faithful student of Plato. Aristotle was not an Athenian. He was born in Stagira near Macedonia. And let me tell you, you must have heard about the Alexander the Great or the Sikandar Mahan. And Aristotle was actually the teacher of Alexander the Great. Aristotle's father was a physician, and Aristotle's early interests were in medical and biological studies. When you look at the, I have seen in some of the textbooks on biology also that Aristotle was associated with that of creating a classification of the animal kingdom also. Okay, so he was not basically just only a political philosopher, but he was also a person associated with that of biology in the realm of physics, logic and various other disciplines as well. Now, as I have always I mention it in my almost classes that when you are approaching to study about any political thinker, you should understand a very important point, and that point is that political thinker's life is very important. Like, let's say that how that particular political thinker has lived through. Like we have seen in Mary Wollstonecraft, she had a kind of a problem at home, then she traveled, then her failed love and various other problems with it. It actually impacted her writings as well. Similar to that, Plato, or let's say that Plato was also reacting to the let's say that reacting to the political issues of that period, because he was also in search of creating the one best form of government, right? So for him, everything he has invested on the philosopher king, and he created a distinction between the guardian class, the warrior class, as well as the producing class. So there are different ways that how they actually create the, or they imagine how the society or the polity should be. Then we have Aristotle here. Aristotle, being a student of Plato, obviously he had taken inspirations from Plato, but he was also a great critic of Plato. So after Plato's death, what happens is like there was a question over the succession at the academy, that who will run the institution. So first of all, it went to a person, a family member of the Plato, which it did pain Aristotle, because Aristotle believed that he was meritorious to others, so he should have got an opportunity to be part of that academy first. Secondly, then also like he then left the Athens and he wandered and various other things he did. Then after also there was a second chance, and at that time that post went to a person from the Athens itself. So here you can see that like Aristotle went through a kind of a situation where he, despite having all the required qualities, but he couldn't actually attain that position of which was left by Plato in academy. Okay. Now moving to our next major works. When you are preparing for UGC-NET examination, one of the most important element is that you often get questions with reference to the books. So you should know the list of the books written or compiled by Aristotle. So here we have Protrepticus, Metaphysics, Physics, Rhetoric, Poetics, Eudemian Ethics, Politics, Nicomachean Ethics, De Anima, and De Interpretation. These are the books written by, or the major works written by Aristotle. Now moving ahead, now we have the major ideas. Major ideas. So here we have to understand about the different, the ideas. So distributive justice. Like, is this distributive justice equivalent to that of John Rawls? No. Here he has spoken about the proportional equality and rectifactory justice. Now, proportional equality, so proportional equality, by this he mean that the wealth and the positions should be distributed on the basis of merit. It means that if that person is entitled, let's say that if someone has done MBBS, he should be appointed as a doctor, not the person who is actually has taken the degree of BSc nursing just because that person has done some sort of, that person belongs to some social status or something, that person should be given that job. No. It should be based on merit. That was the most important element in the proportional equality that he has spoken about, that merit and offices are to be distributed in such a way that it should be based on merit. Secondly, that point is a rectifactory justice, that here he says that in the delivery of criminal justice, let's say that if a person who is a great social activist, I'm just giving an example, but that person has committed a crime. So, it doesn't mean that that person should not be punished just because he, she or they has done a crime, that has been engaged in a social activism or anything. When it is a matter of crime, or it is a matter of engaging with that of criminal law, then that person should be treated in accordance with the criminal law itself. That person should not be given any sort of what we say, that person should not be left free or anything just because that person has been working as some great professional or something. Because in terms of criminal justice, you have to deliver justice on the basis of the nature of the crime conducted. It should be like the nature of the crime should be taken care of while delivering the justice. Okay, what sort of, if that person amounts to a 2 years imprisonment or a 10 years rigorous imprisonment, it depends upon the nature of the crime committed by that person. Here that person's social status or that person's merit doesn't matter. Types of government, one, few and many. He actually made a comparative analysis of more than 150 constitutions from the Greek city-states in and around, and he actually created like which is the best form, which is the wrong form. So like, monarchy, then tyranny, monarchy, tyranny, that like the good and bad form. Okay, so monarchy is a better form, the tyranny is a bad form. Okay, the oligarchy, aristocracy, then he distinguished between democracy as a bad and polity as the better, like for many. Okay, so he made the classification of constitution on the basis of good and bad constitution. Then after, on slavery, he has justified the institution of slavery by saying that the slaves actually are like the persons with no rationality or anything, the persons with no reason. According to him, the citizens are those people who are the adult people of that particular political community, adult members. According to Aristotle's scheme of citizenship, the women, children, elderly are not, and slaves are not citizens. Citizens are only the selected few people who actually take part in the deliberative processes of everyday nature. Okay, in everyday, like they take the decisions for the state and all. Okay. So here on slavery, he is of the opinion that the slaves are there. He distinguished between natural and unnatural slaves also. The unnatural slaves are those people, the prisoners of war, etc. But The natural slaves are those people who are actually there for the servitude of the citizens, so that the citizens are freed from their daily day-to-day works, etc., their daily chores, etc., because the slaves are there for their let's say that for to help them in the household matters, so that the citizens have the leisure time to take part in the deliberative processes of the deliberative political processes of the state. So here he justified the slavery. Aristotle justified the slavery. With respect to women, Aristotle was of the opinion that women should not be given any sort of political role. They should be limited to that of the private sphere, because he has given much importance to that of the family. So for him, woman is a very important element within the family. Why? It is in contradiction to that of his guru Plato, because Plato was the person who said that community of wives and property. It means that the guardian class should not have a married life. They should have a kind of a system where common ownership of property and their common ownership of what we call it as the children will be born through a festival that will be held every year. So that union of people that will happen through a festival where there is no institution of marriage. Okay, this was only for the purpose of creating a kind of a community of guardians, right? So on women, Aristotle was more patriarchal. He said that the women are not fit for the role of to enter into politics, and they are to be relegated to the realm of private sphere. That was the idea. And additional to that of the idea of distributive justice is the theory of revolution. According to him, if the persons with merit or honors, they are disrespected, they are not given the position in accordance to their merit, then it causes revolution. This was an idea propounded by Aristotle. So these are the principal ideas propounded by Aristotle, and these are very important ones with reference to UGC-NET examination. So students, thanks for watching this lecture. I'll see you in another lecture, and as I have already mentioned in many of my classes, that go through the works, the ideas, as well as the life sketch. See you soon, students. Bye.